The Coca-Cola 600 on Fox is sponsored by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. By Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history. An American revolution. By Nextel, only from Sprint, helping NASCAR Nextel Cup fans get more done. And by Coke Zero and My Coke Rewards. Collect points and earn NASCAR rewards straight from pit road.
"17 caution-free laps in Concord, North Carolina. Ryan Newman, the pole sitter, led the first 10. His Penske Dodge teammate Kurt Busch has led the last 7. Comes around for his 8th lap lead of the night. Matt Kenseth was closing, but no longer. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has gone past Kenseth to take over the 3rd spot. As you see 2 of the Hendrick cars battle. Let's talk about chasing this racetrack.
And it's something we talked about it in the pre-race. We talked to Mark Martin about it. Now this is estimated track temperature. You notice right here from the start to about 6:30, we're going to be about 1:30. Then the sun will start going behind the grandstands. We're going to cool down probably about 15 more degrees. Then we're going to go somewhere in the mid-90s here. But at the finish, Mark Martin talked about it. From 9 o'clock on, that's when it's going to cool down. What does this mean? This means the track's going to gain grip, and the cars are probably going to tighten up and almost tighten up too much. So these guys have to keep adjusting. Even Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman up there, if they want to stay in the hunt, they'll have to start adjusting those cars as the track cools down.
Another element that goes into a lot of that too is as hot as the track is right now, it causes your tire pressures to just go crazy. You build up in your tires really is what affects the car's handling over the long haul.
In our little pool, there's nothing at stake, folks, but who is going to brush the wall first? I think we all have a favorite already.
I do. The 9 car.
Robbie Gordon high down in turn 1. He is really close to an encounter with the beast of the southeast here.
We just saw Jimmy Johnson in that 48 go by Elliott Sadler in the 19. That was a battle for 8th. So that 48 car, he's headed to the front. But Matt, the Evernham cars, even Elliott Sadler, who qualified 3rd, not where they need to be right now. Matt?
Not at all, Larry Mack. And if you talk to the guys on EMS's, all 3 teams, they'll tell you in the daytime their car's not quite as good, but at night they really come to life. That's what they're expecting here. But Elliott Sadler says his car just way too tight in the center, especially down in turns 3 and 4. Just trying to hang on.
I'll tell you a guy that's doing a pretty good job here on the get-go, Larry, is not too far behind the 19. That 18 car right there. J.J. Yaley. I mean, he's sitting there in pretty good shape right now, running in the 6th spot and doing a nice job.
You know, honestly, though, Darrell, he's been pretty fast and good ever since we unloaded on Thursday. He qualified up there in 12th and actually been pretty good in every practice session, even yesterday.
I think that car, he could do really well here tonight if they just keep him throttled back a little bit. Give me about 90% right now.
A couple of veterans here. Jimmy Johnson pulling his Chevrolet down inside of Ricky Rudd's Ford. And 7th will change hands as Johnson continues his march toward the front.
But I tell you, when I look back there at Ricky Rudd in that 88 car, we talk about this every week. That race team, Ricky Rudd in the 88, they need a good run. Sitting there 34th in owner points, flirting with falling outside the top 35.
And a lot of people were saying that that 88 car was a car to keep your eye on tonight, that the old rooster might crow about midnight.
There's the camouflage car sneaking up on Ryan Newman, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. blasts on by.
Hey, Larry,
2nd place.
Glad they put it back like it was.
And of course, what Darrell's talking about, the car was fast on Thursday. He qualified up there in the top 4. They started slinging springs and shocks and sway bars yesterday through all the practice. I saw Steve Mill, who works with DEI. He was headed to the motor coach lot last night. I said, where are you headed? He said to make sure they're going to put that race car back like it was before the day started. Obviously, it's working out.
Steve?
Hey, Larry Mack, the other thing they did, Tony Gibson told me that they went back to air pressures from the race here in October. So that they felt like that was going to be an important tuning tool before the race. Also, Tony Gibson has been with DEI for 6 years, and he says he knows how to deal with Dale Earnhardt Jr. You talk about driver crew chief communication. He said he could tell by the tone of his voice how he feels about his car.
Steve, getting ready for this race tonight is like a pilot flying an airplane. You've got to trust your instruments. When you don't know where you're going or you don't know what's below you, trust your instruments. These guys have to trust their notes. Got to go back to what they know has worked, what they've done in the past. Got to have that trust in what you've done here in the past.
We ride with Matt Kenseth, and he's given up a spot to Denny Hamlin. Kenseth has now backed up to 5th place. And again, we talk about this being the first phase of the race when most of the track is in sunlight. You see him now moving into shade and then back to the sun. And Tony Stewart, who had been as high as about 12th after starting 14th, he's now slipped back to 18th place. Steve.
Mike, they made wholesale changes to that number 20 Home Depot Chevrolet this morning. Cart Chief Jason Shapiro said if we gain 1/10 of a second on every change we've made, we'll lap the field. But right now, Tony Stewart says we're losing most of our time getting back on the gas. You need to free me up in the center.
Greg Zipadelli told me this morning, he says, don't worry about us in the daylight. He says, we're going to be junk. But in the night, we're going to be right.
Yeah, we saw that over in the All-Star race. I mean, we didn't even talk about Tony. He rode at the back, but when it was all over with, he finished 5th. So they can get it dialed in.
Kurt Busch in the lead at Lowe's Motor Speedway by 1.2 seconds over Dale Jr.
I want the cup.
In pre-race, this man stood alone. His family was introduced to the crowd as the spirit of those who are serving abroad. They didn't know he was right behind them. The military flew Staff Sergeant Rashid Hall here from Iraq for a joyful reunion.
That is so cool, man. Awesome. What a deal.
We're 35 laps in to Stock Car Racing's longest night, the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the 48th annual running of a race born in 1960 when promoter Bruton Smith and his partners, including race car driver Curtis Turner, thought to get any attention at all on the day of the Indianapolis 500, they had to have a bigger race. So they staged a longer one, 600 miles.
I think it worked. Mike, document this. Lap times right now at almost 40 laps, 32 flat basically. And that's why these cars, a lot of them are handling ill, but they're not going fast enough and they can't control them. But just wait. That's another good indicator of where the track is. Every time you look at lap times, we'll see those things pick up as the evening comes along.
I will guarantee you it will be after 9 o'clock. We'll see the fastest laps of this race, just like Mark was talking about, waiting on 9 o'clock to come.
From shade to sunlight and back again. Not as much grip out here in the sun. Of turn 2, the backstretch, and turn 3. Jimmy Johnson continues his march to the front. He's up to 4th. And Krista, he is one of the 3 or 4 quickest cars on the racetrack right now.
I know, Mike. I had to look down at my notes and double check the fact that he started 21st. It has taken him just 38 laps to move all the way up to 4th. The condition he's reporting on the radio is that the car is just starting to get a little bit tight. Back on lap 25, track announce said you're about halfway on your tires and fuel. That was the exact moment where the car started to tighten up.
Second place, Denny Hamlin takes a position back from Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That old 11 car is rambling, baby.
You know, Darrell, you talked in your ride and drive about driver comfort and being ready for this 400 lap, 600 miles. Denny Hamlin had never raced in the Coca-Cola 600 till last year, and he said, you know what? I wasn't ready for that, but I'm ready for it this year. I know what I'm up against.
There's so many things, as I said, fatigue, mental and physical. And if one affects the other, the physical part will affect the mental part. So you got to be comfortable.
Matt?
And right now you see Denny Hamlin up high. The car is just so loose on entry and especially loose on exit, but we were closing in on the very first round of pit stops, about 15 or so laps away. They don't want to over adjust, and that's key. Every stop that we make tonight, you want to be right on the money as far as your adjustments of keeping up with the racetrack, not dial yourself out too early.
Claire, let's talk about the pit window here, because it's different than what we've seen in past 600s due to the size of the fuel cell.
Well, yeah, if you remember, last year we actually had that smaller 13.5-gallon cell. These guys could barely just run past 40 to 45 laps. But now with this 19-gallon cell, we can run about 55 to 58 laps. And I think, like Darrell has talked all year long, I think when we're out of fuel, these guys are going to be ready for 4 tires.
I love that. That's one of the best things I think NASCAR has done in a long time, is marry the fuel cell to the tires. Now we're not going too far on tires because we got more fuel than we got tires. Kind of married them up real nice.
And just to put a period on the number of laps they can run, these engines with this carburetor get about 4.5, 4.6 miles to the gallon.
15th place race, Mark Martin in the Army 01 against Jeremy Mayfield's Toyota. And closer to the front, Jeff Gordon making an 8th place pass on J.J. Yeley. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch continues to lead at 42 laps. He has 1.2 seconds on Denny Hamlin. You're watching the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox.
The Coca-Cola 600 on Fox is sponsored by State Farm. Great service, great rates. Nobody takes care of you like State Farm. By Haviland, introducing Haviland with new Deposit Shield. Protect precious metal. By the new Ford Super Duty, built to work harder for you. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway, eat fresh.
For Greg Biffle, a change of crew chief, but no change of luck. He cut down a right front, pounded the wall in his Roush Fenway Ford, and is headed for the garage. Look up in the shadows of turns 1 and 2 for Biffle.
Yeah, he's already in the wall there, but I tell you, he's had a rough year with right front tires there. He blew out one testing at Vegas, and I said it was the hardest lick he'd ever taken in his life, and he's had a couple of hard licks this year.
That was a very hard lick there, right dead middle, looked like in the middle of 1 and 2, straight up to that wall.
Straight in.
Biffle's in the garage. Joe Nemechek had either a wheel bearing problem on the right front or a tire rub. He is coming pit side. There's Nemechek on the apron, smoking from the right front. And pit road will be open.
And it's going to be very busy, probably with all top 35 cars that are on lead lap. Dick Bergman, they're coming your way, buddy.
Yeah, they sure are. Matt Kenseth started 5th. He is still in the 5th position. He has just been warned to stop at the pit where the crew has green uniforms, different sponsor, so a different color here. The decision about what to do with tires has been a group decision.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying better than I thought we'd be. I'm just a little snug in the center, 1 pound out of the left front. Matt.
The Williams topping off the 2 car. No tires taken on this stop. To Krista.
Jimmy Johnson in. His car starting to get a little bit tight. A slight chassis adjustment, half turn, and air pressure.
A great stop for Kurt Busch. He leads everybody off pit road by quite a margin.
I think he said he didn't take any tires is why. I think he just busted fuel, put fuel in, and that's a good strategy. We saw it work a couple of times for guys already over here.
So the first caution of the day out for Greg Biffle, and everybody's made pit stops.
No contest.